Welcome to episode 9 of Mina Narrates. I'm your host, Mina. Thanks for joining me in my library. This episode features the Lizard Queen's Loneliness's twin. Now, let me whisper in your ears. I've always been a bit of a loner. It was just easier that way. People and places so often disappoint, so I never saw the point of interacting with others or leaving the comfort of my own home unless I absolutely have to. Hell, I even had my groceries delivered just to avoid prolonged interaction with people. I never really got into the hype of social media, though I did have a Facebook profile after nonstop nagging from my sister. She thought it was important that I tried to talk to someone every once in a while, or to have at least some minor way for people to contact me. No one really understood why I liked being alone. In hindsight, maybe they had the right idea. If I could go back in time, that's probably one thing I'd change about all this. Too bad there's no such thing as second chances. Maybe if I had paid attention to my sister, I wouldn't be stuck in the situation I'm in now. I'm not exactly sure how long I've been here, but I'm pretty sure it's been a few days. I woke up in a room with no windows and no door. It was white, a blinding, stark white that encompasses the entire space. The floor, the ceilings, the walls, everything was this piercing white that stung my eyes. It was hard to tell how big the room was when I first woke up. My first thought was, how the hell did I get here? Followed immediately by, where the hell is here? I had no real way of knowing. There wasn't a door that showed somebody brought me here, and the memories of what I was doing before I woke up were missing. I was never one for panicking, though, and decided the best course of action for me would be to figure out how big the room really was, if I was indeed in a room. I mentally gauged how big a step I'd need to take to have each be a foot wide, and then I began walking. 5 full steps, and I hit a wall. Then I turned around and headed in the opposite direction, 10 steps total. I repeated the process again to get the rest of the dimensions, and learned I was in a perfect 10 by 10 room. "Where the hell is the door?" I said out loud to myself. The sound of my voice had reverberated off of everything and bombarded my ears with a deafening echo. I covered my ears, trying to block out as much of the sound as I could, but it seemed to go on forever. It was maddening and almost too much for my mind to take. Well, I guess it was too much because I'd passed out. When I woke up again, I was still stuck in the same room. This was bizarre, to put it mildly. What was even stranger is that I should have begun to feel hungry, or at the very least thirsty. It had been hours since I last ate or drank anything, and who knows how long I had been here exactly in this room. But I wasn't hungry, and I wasn't thirsty. Am I dead? I thought to myself, knowing better than to give voice to my question. I certainly didn't feel dead. My head was killing me from the earlier noise, and the one spot behind my shoulder blades that was always bothering me was doing its usual persistent nagging. You're not supposed to feel anything when you're dead, right? All right, so I'm not dead. If I'm not dead, maybe I'm dreaming. But that doesn't make sense either, because you can't feel pain in your dreams. Well, I've never felt pain in my dreams before, and I've had my fair share of nightmares. So, what is this place? There really wasn't anything else to do but ponder these thoughts and pace around the room. I really don't know how long I paced for. If I had to guess, I'd say hours again. But time worked funny in this room of mine. I also never felt tired or sleepy in addition to not being hungry and thirsty. I was definitely in some kind of conundrum. But that's okay, I thought to myself. I like being alone. I like living inside my own head. This won't be that big a deal. You say that now, but I imagine you'll start feeling very differently very soon. A voice whispered to me from one of the corners in the room. What the hell? I said out loud, instantly regretting it. The sound was so much louder this time. A wailing of what the hells bounced off the walls, only this time it didn't sound like my voice echoing. It sounded like whoever it was that spoke to me. Unfortunately, my mind couldn't handle the sound or the strangeness of the new situation, and I passed out again. I don't know how long time had passed before I woke again. When I did, I was sitting in the middle of the room and someone else was with me. Well, not someone else exactly. Right across from me was me, a perfect replica. Even the slight scar above my left eye from a soccer cleat accident. I don't care how strong your mental fortitude may be. Nothing can ever really prepare you for meeting yourself like that. Oh, you're awake. Hello. She sounded like me, but didn't. It's hard to explain, but it's as if there was just one note in the cadence that was slightly off. Maybe not something someone else could have picked up on, but I certainly could. What was interesting was that her voice didn't bounce off the walls like mine did. I just stared at her blankly, unsure what to do. I certainly didn't want to talk and have to deal with yet another blackout. She seemed to realize my hesitation, and her mouth moved to a wide, unnatural grin. It was terrifying to see that expression on my/her face. Just what the hell was going on, I kept thinking to myself. You can talk, it's okay. The noise won't bounce off the walls anymore. I took care of that, see? No echo. She said the last two words in a sing-song croon. This was the oddest conversation I had ever been in. Where are we? I asked quietly, not willing to test her confidence. Luckily, she was right. The sound didn't echo off the walls. She smiled that unnatural grin again and gave a light laugh that sent chills down my spine. Oh, here! She waved her fingers around to represent the room we were in. Well, no shit, Sherlock, but where is here? My tone instantly snide. I shouldn't have been so rude to my twin, but I'd never had much experience in talking with other people, much less someone who was me but not me. She laughed again and got up without answering. I noticed that she was wearing what looked like a cosplayer's version of a straitjacket, but made up as a dress instead of the arms being wrapped tightly around the body. Her legs were covered in black nylons that ripped and snags all over the place. She looked cool, if I was being honest with myself, and pulled off the look really well. She did an unbalanced pirouette, making the arms of the jacket dress flap around her like wings. We're here, Sophie, you silly girl. This is my room. This is your perfect hiding place, she said in that sing-song voice. She said it in a matter-of-fact way, as though I knew exactly what place she was talking about. But even in my most vivid daydreams, I had never come up with a place like this white room. This is the place your mind likes to hide whenever you have to do something you don't like. What? I've never been here, even in my mind. I'd be somewhere in Azeroth or fighting Covenant if I was trying to get away from something I don't like, even in my mind. She smiled again and nimbly knelt down in front of me. Oh, you silly rabbit. Always lying to yourself. That's okay, you'll realize soon enough. She got back up and began spinning around the room once again. You have no idea how long I've wanted us here together, though. It gets awfully lonely being stuck in here by myself, and you don't let me out to play very much. She stopped her spinning and cocked her hip with a wagging of her finger at me. Do you know how rude that is? You used to let me play with you all the time. Why won't you let me play with you any more? She didn't let me answer before she went back to her spinning. I hadn't the faintest idea what she was talking about, though. I've always been a rather imaginative individual, but I never thought of anything like this before. I shook my head and got up myself, having grown tired of just sitting on the floor. By this point, me, but wasn't me, had begun playing a game of hopscotch, giggling with each step she took. I'm sorry, I had no idea. I don't remember you. Could you tell me who you are? I asked her in as calm a voice as I could muster. I'm Sophie. You're Sophie. We're Sophie. Right. Could you tell me how that works? I'm a little confused by all of this. I looked around the room with a solemn look on my face. I felt incredibly silly doing all of this, but she seemed to be the only way to get out of this room I found myself trapped in. She huffed in annoyance at the question and stopped her game. Honestly, you've never had to ask before. She huffed again and plopped herself down on the ground and patted the area in front of her. I walked over cautiously, afraid of what she might do if I got too close. I carefully sat in front of her, poised to stand up at the moment she moved. She huffed again, and said, I'm you. I'm the part of you that you let have all the fun. I'm the one that handles all the stuff you don't want to handle. Remember that time in Miss Greg's class when Andy called you ugly and everyone laughed at you? I did remember that. I had started wearing glasses the day before, and my parents couldn't afford the nicer frames. I was 8, and the kids were so cruel. Andy in particular. He had called me ugly and said I should never come back to school because no one wanted to be friends with an ugly kid with bug-eyed glasses. A tear welled up in my eye and slowly fell down my cheek. It had been so long since I thought about him or anyone else I'd gone to school with. Sophie nodded at my realization and continued, How about when Jacob asked you to the spring formal, but it turned out to be a joke when you showed up at the dance? He was there with Cindy. She said that no one would want to go to the dance with the school's biggest loser. I remembered that too. I ran out of the gym in my heels and hid behind the music building until it was time for my mom to pick me up. I didn't want her to know that I was invited as a cruel joke. She'd been so happy for me and spent money we didn't have to get my dress. He died that night. I remember. They said it was a car accident, I said in a small voice. All these memories of bad experiences began dancing around my mind, just like she had been around the room, each one coming closer and slicing a little piece of me. It was agony. I hated remembering these things. Oh, it wasn't an accident, Sophie, she said once again using that sing-song voice. That was me. He really shouldn't have done what he did to us. That was just rude. How could it have been you? There's no way. You're a figment of my imagination. She frowned at that and got angry. How could you say that? How dare you? I've been the one protecting us every single fucking time someone did something to you. Remember what happened to Cindy? She killed herself the next night? I did that. What about that stupid bitch Tamara, your old boss at the computer store? She got on our ass every single day for no other fucking reason than she felt like it. And what happened to her? Died during a robbery gone wrong. I did that too. All I've ever done my entire life was protect you, and I'm tired of it. I shook my head violently. There's no way. All those things had been accidents, incidents of circumstance. How could she possibly have done this? Unless she's trying to say, I did it? Oh my God. Did I do this? Did I black out during those times and do those things? I grabbed the side of my head and rocked back and forth. This isn't possible. There's no way this was possible. She made a loud sound and barked at a short laugh. No, are you kidding me? How stupid can you be? I'm not some kind of split personality. You're not insane. She cocked her hip again. Frankly, I'm insulted. There's no way in hell you wouldn't have gotten caught if it had been some kind of split personality thing, because you would still leave evidence. She was right. It didn't make sense that this was some kind of freaky conversation with another personality inside of me. She was right in that if I had done those things unknowingly, there would have been some evidence to trace it back to me. I stopped rocking and looked at her. What are you? Please tell me, please, I pleaded. This time she looked sad as she knelt in front of me. I'm you, remember? Everyone has a double. Everyone. I was conceived the moment you were. I was living beside you inside Mom's womb. But me, and the ones like me, we aren't the ones meant to live like you do. We're just watchers. We live through your actions. She looked down at our knees as she said this, as though she was regretting what she was saying. I wasn't supposed to do those things. I was just supposed to watch. But we didn't deserve that life. I didn't deserve that life. I'm not some loser, and I'm tired of us living alone, being alone all the damn time. I want to play. I want to have fun. You don't deserve to be the physical one. I do. But there's no way to switch our roles. Believe me, I've tried. At that, she got up again and began pacing the room. My world, however, was crashing down all around me. My entire life was being rewritten as I looked at past events and realized there was a shadow of me in every single one. The imaginary friend I'd had when I was 3 that looked like me and talked like me, even had my name, was her. She'd been there the entire time, living life through my eyes, and I could feel her frustration over the life I had chosen for us. This was too much. Just too much for me to handle. No, I broke into a kneeing sob. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Life's just too hard. It's hard. I know. You're not strong enough, Sophie. But I am, she said matter-of-factly. So what do we do? She smiled, that Cheshire cat smile again. I'm so glad you asked. Thank you for listening to the Lizard Queen's Loneliness's Twin and making it to the end. Many thanks to Liz for allowing me to narrate her story again. I originally recorded this for Madame Raven's 2020 New Year's Women's Collaboration. I've put a link to it down in the description, as well as to the text. Let me know what you think of this story. It poses some interesting questions about our mental states. Introverts spend a lot of time alone and in their own minds. Is this how they see the world? Is this how that inner voice speaks to them? What happens in the minds of those with dissociative identity disorder? What happens when a twin dies in utero or shortly thereafter birth? Does the ghost of the twin follow the living twin around? Is there jealousy in that ghost? Do they protect the living twin? What about doppelgangers? Let me know what you think in the comments below. While you're down there, please give the video a like and share it out. If you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing and ringing the bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been so welcoming, supportive, and helpful. I know I've asked for a lot of input from you all. I just want to get to know you all as you're getting to know me. Until we meet again, have a wonderful day or night, and be safe.